Welcome to Humor for Humanity. More than entertainment, our mission is your mission.
I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream.
Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
We are going to send a message to the billionaire class, and that message is you can't have it all.
If there is one message, let it be that human rights are women's rights and women's rights are human rights once and for all.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
How are you going to make them pay for the wall?
I will, and the wall just got 10 feet taller, believe me.
Humor for humanity, humor in helping, humor in healing, humor and hope. Ha, ha, ha. All righty. My name is Jimmy Tingle, and I want to welcome you to our first taped episode with a live audience of Humor for Humanity. Now, Humor for Humanity is a new social enterprise that I founded about a year ago that aspires to use entertainment for purposes beyond entertainment. Our mission is to help raise spirits, funds, and awareness for nonprofits, charities, and social causes through media, which is you, and live events, which is you. Our mission is their mission. Now, the biggest challenge with Humor for Humanity is the humanity, ladies and gentlemen, even with me, the founder. The blizzard of 2015, I saw a woman pull into my parking space. I said, "Excuse me, miss, excuse me, that's my space." "Excuse me, it took me 3 hours to shovel that out. That's my space." "Excuse me, I don't care if we're married. That's my space. That is my space." And at Humor for Humanity, we're trying to overcome the fear in the media with positive action, ladies and gentlemen. Because as a society, we are inundated with fear. Even in the weather people, they come on and they scare the hell out of us with things like the wind chill factor. It's not bad enough it's winter. It's not bad enough it's freezing. They tell us exactly how cold we are and exactly how cold we feel. It's 19 degrees out today. However, when the wind blows, it feels like it's 34 degrees below zero. I don't really want to know what it feels like. It's already winter. I'm already cold. As far as I'm concerned, let the person come on television. It's cold out today. Do I need a coat? Yes, you do. Thank you. That's all I care about. And it's a form of sensationalism in the weather, and I think it comes from sensationalism in the news. For example, the crime rate in this country has been steadily declining over the last 25 years. However, the reporting of crime on the local news has been steadily increasing. So technically, our streets have never been safer. However, with the crime chill factor, it feels like everybody's trying to kill you. Now, folks, as a comedian, I have been talking about guns and gun safety and gun violence for a long time, both on stage and off stage. For example, in 1981, a mentally disturbed man, John Hinckley, walked into a pawn shop, bought a gun, and shot and almost killed President Reagan and his bodyguard, James Brady, who actually spent the rest of his life in a wheelchair with a brain injury. This led to a national movement called the Brady Bill to have background checks and a 7-day waiting period to buy a gun so the guns don't fall into the wrong hands. So I want to show you a clip of myself on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson in 1988 commenting on Congress's inability to pass a 7-day waiting period to buy a gun.
Would you welcome Jimmy Tingle? Jimmy?
I don't know, folks. The priorities, where do they lie? Congress recently voted against a proposal to have a 7-day waiting period to buy a gun. Now, folks, I don't want to sound like a Quaker, okay? But, like, is a week a long time to wait to see if Hinckley is qualified to own a gun? Hey, I'm an American. I pay my taxes. I'm in an argument. I want a gun. I want it now. Well, we're sorry, sir, but you're going to have to wait at least a week for the gun. A week? The guy will be gone in a week. Well, that's the point. I mean, a 7-day waiting period to buy a gun, and Congress is against it. Folks, it takes 8 days to get a phone.
We have lost more Americans in this country to gun violence than we lost in World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, Iraq, and Afghanistan combined. Now, President Trump just signed an executive order making it easier for mentally disturbed people to buy guns. He probably figures if he can become president, other mentally disturbed people should at least be able to buy a gun. His new Secretary of Education, Betsy DeVos, was recently asked if guns should be allowed in schools. And she said maybe in rural schools to protect people against grizzly bears. Now you laugh, but she does have a point. I don't know if you heard about this, but 2 weeks ago, right here in Massachusetts, a grizzly bear walked into a classroom at Revere High School. Fortunately, the kids were armed, they got him. But my point is, it's dangerous out there, ladies and gentlemen. Even after the Newtown massacre, Congress would not pass new laws mandating universal background checks and closing loopholes at gun shows. Tragically, black males are 6 times more likely to be the victim of gun violence than the rest of the population. I wonder what would happen if members of Congress were 6 times more likely to be shot and killed than the rest of the population. Do you think we'd have universal background checks to get guns, folks? I think we would. Are you kidding me? The entire country would be on lockdown. Now, after the Newtown massacre, there were a lot of ideas floated around how to stop school shootings. Some people actually did want guns in school. Some people actually wanted to arm the teachers. Arm the teachers. Ladies and gentlemen, my brother is a teacher. It's a stressful job. Don't give him a gun. That could cause more problems. And my wife went to Catholic school. She said, Jimmy, if the nuns ever had guns, a lot of kids never would have graduated. Now, some private companies have actually stepped up to the plate. Starbucks passed a rule saying no more guns allowed in Starbucks. And when I heard that, I said, good. It's about time somebody put their foot down and said it. No more guns allowed in the Starbucks. And then it occurred to me, I had absolutely no idea you could bring a gun into Starbucks. Did you know that, ladies and gentlemen? I mean, do we really want the people in Starbucks to be armed? Aren't they under enough pressure? They're standing in line, they're waiting for their drugs, they're stressed out. Do we really want them packing? Now, most people think it's a reasonable approach not to bring a gun into Starbucks. However, there are many people in this country who oppose the no gun in Starbucks law. What do you mean, no guns in the Starbucks? What if I'm hunting a deer and it runs into the Starbucks? What am I supposed to do? Wait till he comes out with a cafe mocha grande latte? What's next? Background checks for me to get a cappuccino? Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming out tonight. Give yourselves a round of applause because our nonprofit partner, tonight our nonprofit partner is Operation Lipstick. And Operation Lipstick is a coalition of faith and civic leaders, elected officials, social service, and law enforcement professionals working to keep guns out of the hands of criminals and youth without abridging the freedoms of law-abiding Americans. Lipstick prevents women from being used to buy, hide, or hold guns for those who are legally prohibited from possessing guns. And on April 15th, we're going to have a call to action. You can join us for a gala to benefit Operation Lipstick from 7 to 10 p.m. at the Bill Bordy Theater on 216 Tremont Street, downtown Boston. Emerson College students are joining forces with Operation Lipstick, the first program in the country to prevent women from straw purchasing guns for the wrong people. This event will feature keynote speaker, Suffolk County District Attorney Dan Conley, and Boston City Councilor at Large and Lipstick Board member Ayanna Presley, professional NFL linebacker Gosder Cherelis, and entertainment by nationally known comedian and political satirist Jimmy Tingle. That's me, ladies and gentlemen. Keep it down, please. In addition, singer Tori Bedouin and local slam poet Kristen Hill will captivate the audience and raise spirits, funds, and awareness for Operation Lipstick. Saturday, April 15, 2017, 7 to 10 p.m. at the Bordy Theater on Tremont Street in Boston, Mass. And when you order a ticket, you get a 10% discount when you use the code TINGLE. What's the code, ladies and gentlemen? TINGLE. Very good. 10% off when ordering tickets at jimmytingle.com. What's the website, ladies and gentlemen? jimmytingle.com. I love this audience. Tonight we have a great panel of speakers lined up. We have Operation Lipstick Program Director Judy Rose in the house, Operation Lipstick Field Director Shantae Leathers in the house, and Operation Lipstick Board Member and mother of homicide victim Johnny Davis in 2009, Shondell Davis, in the house tonight. Thank you all for coming out, and we will be right back with the panel. But first, a word from the one and only Meryl Streep about Operation Lipstick and the work that they do. Please welcome Meryl Streep speaking on behalf of Operation Lipstick.
Remind yourself of the names of these women. Support the organizations that are helping them and take inspiration from their lives to prod action in our own.
Lipstick stands for Ladies Involved in Putting a Stop to Inner City Killing.
Remember these fearless, undaunted, relentless women, and support the efforts of Kim Odom and Dorothy Johnson Spite, all of whose children died in a hail of bullets. Their parents who've turned their grief into a campaign to save other sons and daughters from the senseless outrage of gun violence.
Welcome back to Humor for Humanity, ladies and gentlemen. Please welcome, on my far right, Program Director of Operation Lipstick, Judy Rose. Field Director from Operation Lipstick, Shantae Leathers, to my immediate right, and in the middle, Board Member Shondell Davis. Ladies and gentlemen, just to put this issue into perspective, I want to start with you, Judy. How did you get involved with Operation Lipstick? First of all, just tell people what Operation Lipstick basically is. You're the program director.
Okay, so Operation Lipstick is it stands for Ladies Involved with Putting a Stop to Inner City Killing. So we're women helping women to refuse to be used to take a life, not to straw purchase a gun, because a lot of times guns are being straw purchased by women who are coerced, manipulated into doing it. And so we really empower women to say no. Put yourself first, to value yourself. You matter, you count, and that your freedom is not worth losing it's not worth losing your freedom over doing an act of straw purchasing, which is a criminal act, in the name of love.
Right. And who gets these people? I mean, when you say straw purchasing, what does that mean?
So straw purchasing, it's a felony offense, and what it is a woman, usually it's 9 times out of 10, a woman being coerced or manipulated to buy a gun, and then legally.
For who?
For their loved one. Could be usually their boyfriend, their husband, their brother. We've heard cases from the district attorney, the police officers, how women are being coerced even by their brother. And they're like, we know it's your gun. You're really gonna let your sister take the fall for this gun? You're really gonna let your girlfriend take the fall? And they're like, gun possession is 9/10 of the law, so the gun was on her and she's gonna do the time. I already have a rap sheet, so I can't take the fall.
So you're trying to educate young women not to get involved. So when their boyfriend or their loved one comes up to them and says, I really need you to go up to New Hampshire and get me a gun, you're trying to tell them and give them the strength and say, no way.
No way. We educate and empower them to basically know the consequences. We were recently at the Jeremiah Burke, and one young lady, we have a pledge that says... Jeremiah Burke is a high school? It's a high school, and we were speaking, we had a table talking to the young women over there, young ladies, and we have a pledge that says, I will not buy, hide, or hold a gun for someone else. And so this young lady, she was just basically like, what's that? So I told her, and she was like, oh no, I have to hold my man down. I can't do that. If he asks me, I have to be ready and willing, a ride or die mentality. And so basically, as a survivor of domestic violence, I know what it's like to basically put yourself last, honor your man, and basically sacrifice yourself. So it really connects home for me that she doesn't really know the value of her worth. And I'm like, okay, you're holding him down, and he's holding himself down, but who's holding you down? in that light bulb moment, you know, it's like, wow, I never thought about myself. I'm neglecting myself. I'm putting myself in harm's way for someone else just trying to prove my love. But does he really love me? And so she was able to sign that pledge because someone connected with her, someone cared, someone shared their story with her. And that's what our women and young girls need. They need someone to connect with them, be transparent, not try to hide what they've been through. And that's where the connection and the revelation happens for the women to see that, you know, I was going down the wrong path, and I'm going to put myself now first.
Right. I mean, it's amazing that in high school, that's pretty young. So she's like 16, 17 years old,
Yeah, 15.
being asked, 15 years old. And where could she legally get a gun anyway at 15 years old?
So basically, we ask women to, and young girls, not to buy or hide or hold guns.
Okay.
Because women are holding guns in their backpacks, in their homes, under the bed. And we also encourage mothers who know that their children have guns in the home. So we educate and empower women to basically take authority of your home as well. And so we just try to, you know, touch all bases and angles, women and young girls, so that they will be fully protected, knowledgeable to protect themselves.
Right. And Shantae, how did you get involved with Operation Lipstick, and how long have you been involved with it?
It's been 3 years. In
3 years.
2014, I was a student at Bunker Hill Community College, and someone came up to me and said, I think that you will be a great fit for this organization. Go to one of their meetings. You know, you need an internship to get your associate's degree, go find it. So I went in as an intern, and the message, the aha moment, the moment of truth, like where did the gun come from? Asking that question, and actually it related so much to me because I lost a friend to gun violence at a very young age. I was 13 when one of my friends was shot in the head in Dorchester. And when I heard the lipstick message about where did the gun come from, it took me back. It was like a trigger moment. Like when I was 14, I didn't know where that gun came from that shot my friend. And I just felt like I needed to do something at 13, 14. How can I help my friend? How could I have saved him? I couldn't have done anything. So when I came to the lipstick message and the lipstick work, I was like, wait, this is a chance for me to give back and to educate and empower women and girls to refuse to be used, one, but also it's a method of gun violence prevention. So it was very important that I stayed with it. I did receive my associate's degree from Bunker Hill. And then I went on to being social media coordinator and now field director, and I'm also graduating with my bachelor's this year in May.
Nice.
Next month from Wheelock College. So I'm really excited. I'm a bachelor's in social work, but it was really this work that kept me grounded in the community base, and trying to make a change because, you know, we're all raising boys here. We're all raising boys. Young Black men are targets in our community, and we want to keep our children safe. And the message and the work that Lipstick is doing is allowing us to giving us a venue, an opportunity to keep our boys safe at the end of the day.
And where are you from originally?
I'm from Boston.
You're from
born
Boston
and raised.
as well, and you're from Boston also?
From Boston as well, Dorchester.
Yeah. And Shondell, you're from Boston also?
Yes.
What part?
Same thing like Dorchester, Roxbury.
Dorchester, Roxbury. And Shondell, how did you get involved with this now?
It was in 2009, right after my son Johnny was killed. I remember meeting Nancy. Was at an event in Cambridge.
Your son was killed?
Yeah, after he was killed.
In 2009?
He was killed in April 24th, 2009. So we're actually coming up on his anniversary. And I was at an event in Cambridge at a church, and me and Nancy were talking, and we were just talking about
Nancy Robinson?
Nancy Robinson was asking, you know, my question.
The director?
Yes, of Lipstick. So the operation director of Lipstick. And we was talking, and I vaguely remember like walking through the hallways going into the church, and we both had like passions what we wanted to do. And I just remember, you know, we was talking about like the concern and the worry was, where does the guns come from? You know, we're dealing with young African-American boys and girls. And so what Lipstick is talking about, like there's a lot of people that go to New Hampshire, but there's also a lot of availability to guns for the children on our street. Illegal guns, legal guns. So that was one of the concerns that I had, you know, where did the gun come from that killed my son, you know, and how was this person able to get it?
And you have 6 children?
I have 6 children. He was my youngest son.
He was your youngest son. That was 2009.
2009.
And what were the circumstances? Was it gang related? Was it Does anybody know? Was he just an anonymous victim, or?
It was multiple rumors on the street. One was saying he was talking to one of his friend's girlfriend, that he was giving somebody money, had stopped giving him money. They were saying he was the next one to be the gang leader in this area. But my son was on multiple teams, so he was in all different areas. So we never, his case today is unsolved. But there was one person that the following January that was killed. They were saying that he had killed my son. But my son's case is still open today. Yes.
And do you know other kids from the neighborhood besides your son who have been victims as well?
There's multiple people. Actually, one of my nephews and Shantae and them actually started doing the presentation at Jeremiah Burke after one of my little cousins was killed there as well, Raekwon. So
it's pretty common, would you say?
Unfortunately, too common.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, too common. It really needs to stop. I mean, like Shantae was saying, like the young men are definitely targets. You know, the young men can't live like they want to really live. So.
Mm-hmm. And do you have experience as well? Have lost friends and relatives?
I have. I lost my best friend in 2009. Her name was, oh my gosh, Shalona White, and she left behind her 15-year-old daughter and her 10-year-old son. So she was really precious to me, and this is why I do the work also. Is, you know, she inspires me. I want her legacy to basically live on. She was a woman who empowered other women too. So it was so fitting to be a part of the Lipstick Sisterhood to empower other women, you know, in honor of her life and legacy.
Mm-hmm. Would you say that all of you have been motivated by personal loss,
yes,
as well as the cause?
Definitely.
Yeah, and are there people in your neighborhoods and in your families that are looking to you in terms of, wow, that's really great that you're doing this work, or are you getting pushback from people to not get involved, or how is it working in terms of your peers and your family members and the peers of the victims that have remained?
I mean, the work is life-changing. So when people initially hear about it, you know, nobody's ever thinking about where did the gun come from. We just think like, oh, somebody killed our loved one. So it's always who was the victim and who was the shooter. Mm-hmm. But no one ever focuses on where the actual gun came from. If there was a straw purchaser, or who was the gun dealer. So when they come to our workshops and they hear like the flow of the gun violence or the flow of guns into our community, and the question is asked, where did the gun come from? It's like a light bulb moment. Like, what gun, or who purchased the gun that killed my son, or who purchased the gun that killed my friend? And one thing that I've learned is that a lot of people have a hard time saying that they're a survivor of gun violence, myself included. Losing a friend
because
it's like a stigma kind of around it, and it's like you don't want to take ownership for anybody else's feelings.
Right.
So if I knew Shondel's son, you know, just because I knew him, I don't want to take away from her pain. That's my personal story. I wouldn't want to say, oh, well, you know, I'm a survivor because it was her son. But in reality, I'm still triggered. I'm still traumatized. I lived with the trauma of losing a friend in 2003, and in 2014, it came right back around. That trauma was triggered, and I remembered the loss of a loved one. So yes, I am a survivor. And not only am I a survivor, but all the people that were in my classroom who knew that person was also a survivor. That person's mother, that person's brother, like there's so many people connected to one person when we lose a loved one. So when we do this work, and our family and friends come out, they're empowered, they're motivated, they want to be a part of the work, they want to know how can they fit in, what can they do, and it really grows. It really grows, and it really marinates in people's spirit. And we always get calls. People always want us to do presentations out in the community. Oh, can you come to my school? Oh, can
really?
you come? Yeah, because they want to know. Like, and then when we do go, we do present to like the 8th graders that we did at Orchard Park Gardens as a middle school. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Oh, that was just phenomenal, being able to talk to both women, young girls and boys, and just seeing that their whole perspective changed. You know, they just think that that whole no snitching culture and just trying to being so desensitized by the gun violence and everything else. Their eyes were awakened, and they realized, you know what, I can make a difference. I can be a leader in my community, and I should. And so it was just so powerful to see their minds just change and want to make a difference, want to be impacted, because the media portrays sometimes like just this hopeless picture that we don't have the power to make a difference. And the fact that we provide like a public health approach to make a difference, to get to the source, to get to women, to get to mothers, and because mothers have both male and females in their homes, going to schools and just going everywhere. We have beauty day events, we go everywhere. And so the fact that they want to be leaders now, it empowers them too. It was just phenomenal.
And honestly, I don't feel any pushback. I feel like a lot of people, like I do a memorial for my son each year, and I support like all the other organizations that have helped me in the community. I feel like a lot of people are really tired of the violence and they don't want to endure it. And it's so many people, like we'll go to meetings and you'll be, okay, everybody, we're sitting there talking about it, and next time you know it's another individual that has got killed now. So I feel like, you know, they're looking up to us, they're looking forward to our work, they're looking forward to changes. So I don't ever feel like there's any pushback or any like negativity. I feel like a lot of people are traumatized, they're scared, they want to help, they want to be a part of, they just don't know how. You know, they're afraid, and it's very painful. You know, being a homicide survivor is very, you know, painful in the schools, outside the schools. And like Shantae said, like one homicide can affect so many people. You know, some people are very proactive and active in doing things, and a lot of them just sit back and maybe pray or want to be able to do something, just don't know how. So I never feel like any pushback. A lot of support, a lot of push.
And sometimes the trauma is crippling too.
Yes.
So we never want to like put a stigma or put anything negative against people who aren't doing anything, because that's the way that they're coping. That's the way that they're dealing with their trauma. I met a mom, and every time it's like every day she mentions her son, and that's healing for her. For me, I wouldn't be able to mention, God forbid, that if anything happened to my son every single day, visit his gravesite, or like it would be very traumatizing for me. But that's one way that she heals, is visiting his gravesite every single day. So, you know, no fault against her for the way that she heals. Everybody heals differently.
How has the response been from law enforcement in terms of, has it been pretty supportive, Boston law enforcement?
It's been pretty supportive because they come to our workshops, they educate us on, you know, new and different cases. They give us information to share with, you know, the attendees of our workshops. So it's like, we have one officer, he's officer friendly, we call him Officer Moose, and he will let us know, you know, sometimes young girls or women, they think that we're not going to search them, that, you know, we're just going to focus on the man, because the man will even tell the young girl that. But they're like, if we have to wait for a female police officer to be present, we will do that, so that young girl, that woman will be searched.
So they're aware of it. I mean, I've heard one statistic that it's a huge percentage of the guns are coming from young women. Not coming from them, but they're facilitating.
Oh yeah, they're enabling for sure. It's that ride or die mentality. Some women, young girls, are in abusive, unhealthy relationships. So it's either way. And we as women, we're very loyal and loving. And so, you know, we could be taken advantage of in that way by, you know, doing something just to support our loved one.
Great. I just want to give you some statistics, because I was not aware that the guns were coming in from women before I met your organization. Before I became familiar with Operation L.I.P.S.T.I.C.K, I didn't know how they were getting in, you know. But just here's some statistics. This is just in the last year. If you could just bring this over this way a little bit. This was up in New Hampshire. In March of 2017, a Boston man with a criminal record paid 2 New Hampshire residents, one man and one woman, $200 to lie in the federal paperwork to purchase 2 guns and 7 boxes of ammunition from a New Hampshire gun store in 2016. All 3 defendants traveled up to the gun shop together during the sale. The Boston man showed the straw buyers, the young women, pictures of the guns he wanted while he remained in the car during the sales. That's in New Hampshire. It's a nationwide thing. In Texas, a 35-year-old woman from Mexico ran a straw purchasing ring that acquired 27 assault rifles and pistols, shipped them back to members of the drug cartel in Mexico. The woman was paid $150 and $400 for each firearm. She got caught. She got 84 months in federal prison. And right here in Massachusetts, the girlfriend of former New England Patriot Aaron Hernandez okay, paid $15,000 for a shipment of guns from Florida up here to Massachusetts. She's in big trouble. She's being held accountable for what he to facilitate his crime. So it's a huge issue here in Massachusetts and around the country. And what we're going to do now, we're just going to take a little break, and I'm sure the audience has a lot of questions. I thank you so much for being part of this today, because you are educating and enlightening me and our audience members, and hopefully the people watching at home. So you want to do some questions?
Sure.
They would love to talk to you. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back with a little Q&A. How about it for our panel? Please welcome back our panel, and we'd love to hear from the audience with their questions for our panel. One at a time, please. Raise your hand. I will point to you. Say your name, your occupation, and answer, and please ask your question.
There are 3 things that will help you achieve your mission. Like, what are those resources or the things that you need from?
It's definitely the fundraising part of it, getting money for programming, because we have a lot of great ideas, but the main thing is getting those ideas funded.
Mm-hmm.
The second one is getting people involved. Like we have like how many different? We're in different states now, so we've networked in Cali, and we're in Harlem, New York. We just launched like a couple of years ago. So we have all these great opportunities. But then in Boston too, it's kind of like we want more people to get involved. So it's spreading the word, like getting into the school systems. But it also goes back to funding. Once we're in the school systems, we need to make sure we have the resources to give to the students. And a third one, I don't know.
So definitely funding and volunteers and resources. I mean, people have, you can come and do, when we have our workshops, you can be a speaker, you can just utilize all your resources. If you know someone that can just basically provide a speaking engagement to the residents in the community to really enrich our lives. I know that I spoke with, what is it called? It's Legal Aid of Boston, and basically they're going to be doing a workshop that teaches people how to also seal their queries, 16 to 24-year-olds. So if they did make a mistake as a teenager, they still have a second chance. So they're going to be speaking at our workshops too.
Yes, in the back.
What is your goal or future hope for Operation Lipstick?
The question was, what is your goal or future hope for Operation Lipstick?
Expansion and awareness nationally.
And end straw purchasing.
Yes.
Interrupt that flow between the straw purchaser and the gun dealer. We get a whole lot more guns off the street when we interrupt that flow rather than focusing on the victim and the shooter. We're not minimizing the victim and the shooter, but we can get 1,000 more guns off the street if we focus on the straw buyer and the gun dealer.
Yes, miss.
Comprehensive way in which you work, who your partners are, and what you do think are other good programs that complement.
The list goes on, really. The schools, the district attorney, city councilors. We partner with hair salons, and we're having, our beauty day events to make women feel empowered and special, pampered, to love themselves.
What would you say if you had an opportunity to speak to either the president or members of Congress or the NRA or gang members? What would you tell them? What message would you give them about the ramifications of either how they vote or how they enable the loopholes, or they oppose background checks, or they're trafficking in guns? What would you tell them?
I don't know what I would tell them. The pain. When you're losing a child, like no mother should have to bury a child. And I don't think they know, I'm pretty sure they know what the damage of the guns that they do, but I just feel like it's sad to say that people don't really get it until they're affected by it, So I wouldn't wish it on anybody, though, honestly. So my thing would get the guns off the street. Like, I don't think there's a need for as many guns that's being made and produced and pushed around and sold. I don't think it's a need for that. It's a human right, and they have the rights for it. But I just feel like there's so many guns on the street now that it's not necessary. Guns are just too easily available.
Yes, please.
What are the positions that, just a person coming off the street could offer?
Mm-hmm. The question was, what are the volunteer opportunities for a person just coming off the street to get involved with Operation Lipstick and help out?
You can first of all come to the Grove Hall Library every first Saturday of the month.
The Grove Hall Library.
Yes.
First Saturday of the month. You got it?
Definitely.
Grove Hall Library, first Saturday of the month.
At 10 a.m.
10 a.m.
Be there. We meet with our volunteers and we work on our projects for the month.
You can also host an event as well. So, you know, with your network of people, invite them so that they can have the aha moment just like you had. Yes.
What else? Donate. People can donate.
Definitely donate. Hosting an event is also, you know, basically telling your friends also that the funding would really impact the work of Lipstick. And so if they can come ready basically to fund and invest in the lives and the people of inner cities across, you know, this country, would help us expand to other states.
Is that what one of your goals is, to expand to other cities and
Yes.
other states around the country? And it started here in Boston,
Yes.
and now it's in San Francisco, New York, and where else?
Missouri, is that what you're saying?
St. Louis, Missouri, yes.
And the goal is to get it national.
Yeah.
And you're doing great. It's only been a couple of years.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Unbelievable.
Since 2012.
And you can also come to the Last Straw.
Thank you. Woo! I heard they had a funny comedian coming.
They do. We have a great comedian coming, so we really would like to. We would love to see everyone there.
And we got the DA coming, and we'll talk about that more. But we have a slam poet, we have a musician,
Yes.
and we have, you guys will be there.
Definitely.
You'll be speaking, and we're trying to sell it out too. It's at the Brody Theater at Emerson College on 216 Tremont Street in Boston, April 15th. And there's a 10% discount. We use the code TINGLE when you buy your tickets. How many people here are going to buy tickets?
Yeah.
Look at this, ladies and gentlemen. We sold 12 tickets. We sold 12 tickets. We're going national. Woo! How about a round of applause for all of our panelists tonight? Thank you. Thank you so much. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. And we'll be right back with some closing remarks, ladies and gentlemen. Let them know. Operation Lipstick. To build a 700-mile fence across the border with Mexico. Couple of problems with the 700-mile fence. The first problem is the border with Mexico is 1,900 miles long. Now, I'm not an expert on immigration, but I would surmise that people fleeing abject poverty will go around the fence. Welcome back, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us tonight. As you can see from our panel, we have some profoundly courageous and dedicated people working here in the city of Boston to clean up their own neighborhoods and to save lives for themselves, their loved ones, their kids. It's just really, really very, very moving to have hosted this panel tonight. This is our first show, and I couldn't think of a better way to start off than with the panel that we just saw. Here's the thing. You can tell by this event that we need to get some of our priorities straight in this country, ladies and gentlemen, about protecting each other in the United States of America. You know, a few years ago, there was a shark attack on Cape Cod, Massachusetts, and a man got bitten on his foot by a great white shark. He didn't die, fortunately, but the next summer, there were huge billboards in the parking lots of Cape Cod warning us about great white sharks. Warning, great white sharks live in these waters. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy myself. How am I going to enjoy myself worrying about a great white shark biting off my short white leg? My point is, do you know how many shark fatalities there have been in the United States of America in the last 10 years? 10. There have been 10 shark fatalities. 100,000 people are shot every year in the United States of America. We should have billboards at the airport when people from other countries come into the United States warning them about us. Welcome to the United States of America. We are a great country. There are 350 million people in America. There are 300 million guns. Enjoy yourself. Ladies and gentlemen, you can enjoy yourself on April 15th. Join us for a gala to benefit Operation Lipsticks. The ladies involved putting a stop to inner city killing from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. at the Bill Bordy Theater, 216 Tremont Street, downtown Boston. Emerson College students are joining forces with Operation Lipstick, the first program in the country to prevent women from straw purchasing guns for the wrong people. The event will feature keynote speaker, Suffolk County District Attorney Dan Conley, Boston City Council at Large and Lipstick board member Ayanna Presley, professional NFL linebacker Gazda Cherelis, and entertainment by nationally known political comedian myself, that's me, ladies and gentlemen, and singer Tori Bedouin and a local slam poet, Kristen Hill, will captivate the audience and raise spirits, funds, and awareness for Operation Lipstick. Saturday, April 15, 2017, 7 to 10 p.m. at the Bordy Theater, Tremont Street, Boston. And when you order a ticket from my website, put in the code TINGLE and you will get a 10% discount off of that ticket, and you can do that at jimmytingle.com. Please, a big round of applause for all of our guests tonight, ladies and gentlemen. A big round of applause for yourself, for Judy Rose, Shantae Leathers, Shondell Davis. A round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. I love how you respond on cue. And if your nonprofit is interested in a partnership or fundraiser for Humor for Humanity, visit our website at jimmytingle.com. Now, let us go out and celebrate our first program for Humor for Humanity. Thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All righty. Thank you guys so much. That was awesome.